Today we celebrate the memorial of the saints Martha, Mary, and Lazarus. And just a few weeks ago on Sunday, we heard the gospel reading about Martha and Mary, and we heard how Mary had chosen the better part. She was sitting at Jesus' feet, and Martha was a little bit flustered and was complaining a little bit that she had to do all the work. And so we kind of see Mary in this good light of someone who was responding to the will of God, and Martha kind of losing her center a little bit. But here we see the opposite, and I wish they had given us the whole chapter of John to read, because at the end there's an important part that's left out. But basically, Jesus is coming to Martha and Mary because he heard about Lazarus being sick, and it says Martha went out and she heard Jesus was coming. She went out to meet him, but Mary sat at home. But clearly Mary had a deep love for Jesus. Why did she sit at home? Why didn't she come out to meet him? Well, later, again, it's not part of the gospel we heard, but later we see how when Jesus meets Mary, she prostrates herself before him, and it says that Jesus was deeply troubled in his spirit. He was deeply troubled in his spirit, and he wept. Obviously, he wept at the loss of his friend Lazarus, but also he wept and he was deeply troubled in his spirit because he saw how Mary was suffering. We can imagine that Mary didn't go out to meet him because she was just so depressed. She was just sunk in misery and she was just despondent. She was without hope. And yet Jesus comes to her, he meets her. Why do I say all this? Well, there's two reasons why I wanted to share this. The first is because, like I said before in the gospel we see Mary in this beautiful light, and now we see Martha really shining and Mary kind of going through her own dark night. And it just goes to show us that all families, all peoples have their times and seasons. All peoples go through hardship, and Mary, this beautiful example of contemplative prayer, even her, even she had to go through her trial, her dark night, and even she, we can call it imperfection. Even she was suffering that imperfection or that sin against hope, that she didn't believe that even Jesus would be able to help. And it just goes to show us that all saints have their struggles. All saints have their struggles. And then the other thing I just want to highlight, the other idea, is the fact that Jesus cares. Jesus cares. Jesus wept with Mary. He wept with those people. And in his humanity, he felt deeply troubled in his spirit. And I think, the temptation that Mary could have had was she could have been thinking, well, Jesus doesn't care. God doesn't care about me. Woe is me. Look at my life. Look at my brother who just died. And yet Jesus does not abandon her. He raises up her brother. But I think most importantly, the thing that we see is that he cares, and he cares about each one of us when we have those same feelings and moments in our life when we think that God doesn't care about us. Jesus wept. He didn't just shed a tear, he wept. That is our God, a God who loves us and a God who cares in every difficulty that we go through in life. Amen.